Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years. But only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed.
Before you get it, baby, show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Oh, I'm standing right here holding up a sign. empty. What's yours for the taking tonight?
The train is coming. Get ready to get on board. We're getting ready to go somewhere this morning. Are you ready? Are you packed and ready? You see who's behind me? Look over here on this side. Wait. No, this side. Look above the TV. That's Mike TV. Am I coming in clear? I met him 3 weeks ago. That was my childhood dream. I used to write him in care of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Finally met him. So anyway, am I coming in clear? I hope so. We are on our way towards something wonderful, and that is another illuminated conversation. We are together fulfilling one of the promises that guarantees us that when two or more of us comes together, for whatever reason, as long as we're holding that heart space, we want to be of service to this world. We want to ease some suffering in this world. When we agree like that, you know what happens. Spiritual magic. That's the bell of purpose, not a show gimmick, not a prop. An opportunity, a reminder that the truth, just like that bell, you guessed it, it has a ring to it. So when I ring it, it's so you don't miss some of that ooey gooey chewy goodness known as the truth. Now, Lucy, my sidekick, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo, is still out getting her roots done. She has a couple days off per year. She took yesterday and today. So I have my positive energy cup. She'll be back tomorrow, I promise. We have a wonderful show for you. An extremely talented, gifted, colorful author, and just overall great gal. Her name is Angela LEGH. She's going to be here. She is here. She's in the green room as we speak. And I just want to a couple announcements real quick. Thank you, and thank you again to all the folks that pulled off an incredible 2-day event. The Accelerator Business Summit was last Thursday and Friday. I was there. We hosted a couple of the speakers here at the house, John Block and Dr. Mincy Shaw, and we had a great time. It was just fantastic. It really was. Get over to my pages. You'll see some of the footage from those 2 days. I had a great time. My first time ever being the master of ceremonies. And it was, boy, make sure you wear comfortable shoes. I was like I would say hour number 8, which was still in day 1, believe it or not. I was like, now I know what those women feel like that always carry their slippers in their purse. You know, halfway through the day, they come out of those heels. You know what I'm talking about, right? Slip into those flats. I was like, man, guys, we need those too when you're on your, oh my goodness. So anyway, but other than the dress shoes, kind of like, it was fantastic. It was just, it changed my life. Oh my goodness. I had so much time with Sanjeev Chopra. That man is, I felt like I was sitting at the feet of, Gandhi or someone. Just what a consummate storyteller. And he suggested I buy this book, and I already have it. Made to Stick: Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die. I'll tell you how it goes as I work my way through it. Another book that was I was recommended. This one, Stealing Fire. How Silicon Valley, the Navy SEALs, and maverick scientists are revolutionizing the way we live and work. So these are the two. I'll let you know how it goes. Give you my review when it's done. Now, get ready to put some hearts on the screen, because I'm not even going to read a bio because she is a walking bio. This woman, I tell you, she is just a prolific writer. I had the pleasure of meeting her and working with her because she worked in conjunction with the team at the Los Angeles Tribune magazine to do the story, which is out now. I'm going to tell you how you can order your hard copies later this week, getting the deets on that, but it is out. Angela LEGH is here, and she is an author of not just magazine articles, but this wonderful series of children's books, the Bella Santini's Chronicles. I'm going to show you that, but let's get her in here. Put your hearts on the screen. They're free, they're painless, and they make people just feel so good. So here she comes, Angela LEGH. Oh, how are you, Angela?
I am so good, and good morning to you, and good morning to your audience. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, and I always think and give an extra shout out to my West Coast guests because it is literally the crack of dawn out there. 8 o'clock here
Yeah.
in Chicago. 6 o'clock. Is it still dark there?
The sun did rise a little while ago.
Oh, good. Okay, I don't feel so bad.
And I got my
Everything
coffee.
you have your coffee. Yeah. Right on, right on. Now
Yeah.
I'm looking. Everything seems I'm always interested in the backdrop that
Mhm.
people because it's very purposeful. None of us that do this every day just sits in front of any old thing. And I'm looking at yours, and it's just it's minimalistic, and I have those same flowers on my dining room table, and it's so
Aw.
peaceful. It's so clean and peaceful.
Well,
Tell
and
us
I'm
about
glad to
yourself.
see the artwork. It's, I bought it when I lived in England, and
Mm.
it's, I think, a vision of Scotland, which is gray.
Yeah, it's almost Scotland's like Seattle.
Exactly, yeah.
Very gray, very gray. So I want to get into that too. You were living over there. I love everything. Your necklace is gorgeous.
Thank
You're
you.
gorgeous. So what I like to do, Angela, is give the guest a minute or so. I'm gonna dip out and let you just create your own vibe, fill in between the lines and tell people a little bit about who you are, and I'll come back and we'll officially get started. How's that sound?
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, perfect. Here you go. All you.
So, hello, I'm Angela Lee, and I am the author of the Bella Santini Chronicles. These books are magical, they're enchanting, and what they're meant to do is help your child learn self love and see themselves as the hero of their own story. I also teach emotional intelligence, which probably by the end of this show, you will understand why I feel it's so important for kids to know how to deal with their emotions. So I am looking forward to seeing how this show turns out. Dr. Lauren is such a fun guy. I just can't wait to
Aw.
see where we go.
We're gonna have fun. We really are. I want to get started because you're a woman of many facets. You really are. And a lot of people, those who already know you know about the writing and the Bellison series. I want to show everybody real quick. First look, I do. Take a look at this. Engaging, empowering, enlightening. This is the Bella Santini. And now there's more than just these three that we're looking at, right?
Well, I have book 4 written, and
Yes.
once it's written, there's this process of editing and typesetting and getting all the illustrations, and we're almost done with that. And I'm almost done with writing book 5.
Wow. I'm gonna just say this. I love her name.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you this. I was one of those boys. I read all of the Hardy Boys, and then my friend Rosie Hamilton, who was a tomboy, and I loved her because she had red hair and she reminded me of Peppermint Patty off of yeah, and she
Yeah.
had a horse. She had a horse. So, but she turned me on to Nancy Drew. And
Cool.
she
I
was
read
like,
all the Nancy Drew.
right. And why am I saying all this? Because I think a lot of parents might think, well, Bella Santini, this is a series for girls. No, this is a series for kids. And I would have run to it if I was a boy when this came out, if I
Yeah.
had access to this, because I want to know this. How did you come up with a name, and who does the illustration? Because the illustration makes me, I think I might order it anyway as an adult because it just looks like an adventure.
It is an adventure.
That's
Yeah.
what it looks like.
Yeah, so, I first started writing just a little story for my friend's daughter, who was 9 years old, and her name is Isabella. So
Ah,
I named the character Bella, and, her last name was Perez, and I didn't wanna name it, specifically after her, but I wanted a name that had a little bit of ethnic, not white bread names.
right. Something was a
I
little bit
went
of
Yeah, something exciting. So I went with Santini.
Well, you know why I think that was brilliant? Because the kid in me, as soon as I saw that name, I was like the great Santini, like a magic maker.
She
And I
is a magic maker.
see,
Absolutely. There you
I
go.
yeah. Oh, and I had a magician and a mentalist on the show yesterday,
Oh,
and he had mailed us a letter with predictions and stuff in it, and did it right
ooh,
here. It was amazing. It
that
really
is
was amazing. I felt like I was in the audience of AGT, right? So here's another thing that stood out to me as an LGBTQI
mhm.
plus man. Um, one of the things when I was growing up that never ever was available was a male fairy.
Aha.
And there's one right there on the screen.
Yeah.
And
And
never
he's chocolate covered with blonde hair.
see
So
all
there
the
you
things
go.
I would have loved to have seen as a boy, and there never was, and there were never Halloween costumes for boys to dress up like that.
Mm. Gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I know.
You know, the thing is, we all have, every one of us has male and female energy within us.
Yeah.
And when we can reach a balance of that male female energy, then we are balanced. And sometimes there are people who are unbalanced and they have, you know, unsure of gender and unsure of anything. But it's like, it's just energy. And so I don't see any reason to fear. I also believe that love is love. And if we can quit fearing people who find love in same sex
Yeah.
and just see them as someone who is loving, then
From your mouth to the universe's God's spirit source's ears.
but the other thing I want to say, Mateus is the character on the front there. Um,
Ah.
Fairies, they're magical. That's like the equation. Fairy equals magic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of us, every single one of us have magic inside of us. And that's what these books are about, is getting in touch with that inner magic, which is love.
Which is love. Which is
Yeah.
love. And I love the title, In the Land of
Mm.
Everlasting Change. Everlasting Change.
Yeah.
Tell us about this place.
So I was trying to come up with a name for the fairy world, and I don't know, I read somebody's blog, and they said that the Fae world is named Everlasting Change, and I just grabbed it. I was like,
There it is.
"Yes, that's the name."
Well, I want to tell you something, and it's so interesting because we just saw it yesterday. My husband and I we took a road trip because we had those house guests the entire, weekend pretty much. So we
Mhm.
went to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin yesterday, and we were in an old-fashioned bookstore. They're far and few between now.
They're
And,
lovely.
not the box kind like Barnes and Noble, but the
No.
old-fashioned bookstore.
Yeah.
So we were in there, and they had all, how they set up all the tables and stuff. And there was a book on one, a big giant book for kids called Letters to the Tooth Fairy. Now, let me just tell you that when I found out there was no Santa Claus, it was like 40 minutes later, I found out also that there was no Tooth Fairy. Santa
Oh.
Claus, I was okay with. Easter Bunny, Great Pumpkin, all of them. But then it dawned on me. And I went back into my mom, and I was just standing there. And she was like, what? And because we'd had to talk about Santa. And I was okay. I was off playing. But then it dawned on me, wait a minute. Because I had a personal relationship with the Tooth Fairy. I mean, I had
Did
written
you
her
write her notes?
all the time. She was supposed to meet me for lunch, maybe like 50 or 60. She was worse than Mike TV over there. But she would always say, oh, I'm so sorry I have to postpone our lunch because I'm just so tired from carrying all these teeth back. But but here's some extra quarters that I thought for your trouble. This, that, and the
Aw.
other. Definitely next time. Can I get a rain check? Signed, the Tooth Fairy, which we all know who that really was.
Right.
But I remember that when I went back in there, I said, wait a minute, I did it about Santa, Mom. But the Tooth Fairy? And she said she knew instantly, oh boy, it's going to be a pancakes for dinner night. Because that's what I always got when it was like something heartbreaking in my world. She made pancakes for dinner. So anyway, that I'm just saying all that because it was such a big piece of my world. And this was long before I knew my mom was going to die suddenly and I was going to go into the system. But when I went into the system, it was places like this, the land of everlasting change. They went with me.
Oh,
They
yeah.
stayed with me. And they're still, in one way or another, still with me today, 60 years later. Well, not really, but 50 years later, let's say. So let me ask you something. Why did you choose, or was it chosen for you, to write specifically or primarily for children? Why children?
Like I said, I just was on a lark writing a story for a friend's daughter, and I had no idea that it was going to morph into multiple books.
Really?
And yeah, no, I didn't sit down to be an author, though I have to say, I had this feeling for 10 years before I started writing that I was supposed to write a book. And that feeling just simmered in me, and one day I actually sat down and did it. So
Can we talk about that for a minute?
we can.
Feeling. You chose the word feeling.
Yeah, well,
some
I'm
people-
clairsentient.
Yeah. Well, some people say I had a hunch. Some people refer to it as a calling.
Mhm.
What's the best way you can describe it outside of just using the word feeling? Were you compelled? I mean, did it just not leave you alone? Did it clench on like a pit bull?
It did. And I remember I was in my former marriage at the time. We were going to a psychologist because we had a troubled marriage, and I said something in the psychologist's office, like, I feel like I'm supposed to write a book. And my ex-husband said, "Who are you to write a book?" And
Ooh, indeed. Now we know.
now I can say, I am me.
That's right. So, how long did you procrastinate before you actually got started?
I didn't really procrastinate.
Well, that's
It did take me about a year and a half to write the first book, but now remember, this is a kid's book. I wrote 60,000 words. And when I sent it off to my publisher, he said, we should cut this in half. Just write an ending for the first half and a new beginning for the second half. I'm like, okay, now I have 2 books. So,
wow.
yeah,
And so that's how that came about.
indeed.
What about, so when a child picks these up,
Mm-hmm.
some stories, how you have to know it from the beginning.
Mm.
So what if somebody inadvertently gives a child book 3 first? Are they?
Yeah, there's a like prologue to each book that will say, this is who Bella is. This is what she went through to get to where she is now. So you can pick up the 3rd book and start there, but you're going to miss a lot of goodness if you don't go with the
You're
first
gonna want to
book.
go back.
Yeah.
What would you say is Bella's purpose in her world?
So Bella is, and this is definitely a trope from fiction. Bella is the one who will save her world. And that won't be, that role is revealed in the second book, I think. And it will come to fruition in the 6th book.
Wow. So let me ask you this. When you sit down and you start writing inside the Bella Santini world, is it the adult Angela? Is it the child Angela? Or is it a combination of both? You know what I mean? Because it would seem to me you'd have to be experiencing Bella's experiences through a childlike lens.
It definitely has to be through a childlike lens. And the real answer is that the books are more or less channeled to me.
Ooh.
When I'm, I'll get the impression to sit down and start writing, and it just flows through my fingers onto the keyboard. I don't plot these books. What I do is I will keep a running total of, what are the open, not finished stories, like story within a story.
Sure.
And
Subplots.
exactly. So I'll keep that as a document so that I make sure I can tie up all the loose ends. But other than that, it's not something that is plotted or planned.
Now, what about the illustrations?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because do you ever get one, like you introduce a new character and your illustrator brings in, here's what I think they should look like, and you go, yes, but no, but how does that work?
I create a file folder for illustrations. I have a spreadsheet and I list, this is the scene, this is the character in the scene, this is what you need to remember about the character because she's blonde and she, on and on. And then here are some pictures that are my vision of what this might look like.
What that might look. Let's take the character, the boy. What was the name? Started with an M. Mateus. Why? You said covered in chocolate.
Well, what I meant is that
he's brown.
He's brown, and this came about,
and it made him sweet.
Well, this came about because I realized that I had created all white bread characters. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to be inclusive for everyone. And so what I did is I went back to the illustrator and I said, can you color Mateus so that he is representative of people of color, so that they have someone that they can look at and say,
he looks like
I
me.
can be like him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, did you point that out yourself, or was it pointed out to you? And when I say pointed out to you, I don't necessarily mean by another human. I mean, how do you feel? What do you think brought you to that clarity?
The first book came out at a time of a lot of divisiveness in America. And that poor young man was killed. And I did not want to exclude the Black community from
Which young man? You mean George Floyd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you see in the future, let's talk about the next book. I think it's book 4. Are you introducing any other? Did that open the door to a broader perspective for you as an author, as far as being the importance of being inclusive?
Yeah, it did. And in book 4, we find a new character named Akishe. And Akishe is tall and beautiful and brown, and she is actually, I can't tell you.
You can't let a lot out. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. In book 5 or 6, you'll learn about her heritage, her true heritage. And yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. How does it make you feel? And then we're going to kind of pivot a little, get into some of the other work you do. But from an author standpoint and a children's author at that,
Mhm.
how do you feel when you see things like Annie? Was on Broadway with an African American lead. Most recently, The Little Mermaid, the movie, the new adaptation where the Little Mermaid Ariel is African American.
Mhm.
Does that excite
Or
you?
Bridgerton on TV,
Or
you know?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
fantastic.
But especially for children, what do you think that's saying to them? How do you think that's affecting them? And what goes through your mind as, a person who pours stories into children?
Yeah, first off, I like it because we are a colorful world. We are not a white and white world.
Right.
And so let's have our media reflect the truth of all of our colors. I live in a Taos, New Mexico, and there are a lot of Native Americans.
Sure.
They have a colorful life. Let's make sure that they are represented on TV in the way that everybody else is.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Now we're flipping over to now the real world author, columnist, story
Mhm.
writer, article contributor to not just the Los Angeles Tribune magazine, but all over the place. Let's talk about what's it like when you're writing those stories. Okay, we can start with mine because you interviewed me. You interviewed me.
Yeah.
Um, what's that like, and how does a person get started doing that kind of work? How did you get started writing
Mm.
for something so impressive as the Los Angeles Tribune magazine?
Well, one of the ways when you hire top talent agency to be a publisher for you, one of the things that they do is give you the opportunity to write an article for the Los Angeles Tribune. So I did do that, and they liked my writing so much they asked for more. And so I ended up becoming the first columnist for the Los Angeles Tribune magazine.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow. And how many articles have you written for them, would you say?
Mm, it is hard to say because sometimes my articles are put in the magazine under pseudonyms because um, I'm a prolific writer, and so sometimes they have 4 or 5 of my articles, and they're like, "We can't put your name in that many times."
Right. People say like, is there anyone else there but her? Right.
Exactly.
Right. I get
So
it. I get it.
so under my name, there's probably 12 articles that you can just look up Los Angeles Tribune, Angela Lee, and up will pop. But the spelling Lee is Legh. So
Right. Like on the screen.
yeah,
Like on the screen.
exactly.
What is it you love? I have a feeling it is a different spirit, like like a different jackpot comes out of the slot machine
Mm,
from the Los Angeles Tribune type writing as opposed to the Bella Santini series writing. The
yeah.
coins that come out for you to take with you are different. So what is it about the literary, the columnist that you love the most about that work? What is it? Hearing exciting stories, getting all up in somebody's business. What is
Meeting wonderful people.
it?
Yeah, that's probably the number one thing. When I get to interview people, they're all amazing, wonderful people with a story of overcoming adversity, and their mission is to help people overcome adversity. And so that's very much aligned with myself and my mission. So I very much enjoy that. The other aspect is that I often will write parenting articles. Um, my children's books are meant to help children thrive. And as you know, I'm sure from your history, if the parent isn't providing a environment for the child to thrive, then the child has a hard time thriving. So, giving parents the tools and tips and techniques that help them parent consciously, meaning I am choosing to respect my child as an individual. And I'm choosing to parent in a way that is respectful, but also provides boundaries and nurturing.
Yes. Yeah. Yesterday, my husband and I were sitting on the rocks bordering Lake Geneva, and we were in that one little section because they have one little section where it's like busy, busy, busy. And I am always drawn to children.
Mhm.
Always. I just look at them all. I'll go up and talk to them and this and the other. And we saw, and it was this one little boy, little Indian boy, and the parents were walking way back, and he would run up as far as he knew he could,
Mhm.
and they just let him. He wasn't on one of those leashes or anything. And when he got to, and I noticed that it was always the same amount of distance, and he knew when to stop, and he'd stop and he'd look back at them, and they'd kind of acknowledge him. He'd let them catch up a little bit. Okay, they're at that mark. Then he'd take off. And I said to Brian, I was like, look at that. And it was exactly what you just described about
Yes.
the boundaries, but yet freedom to
Yes.
explore. Right.
Huge.
And yeah. And just like I was watching it in real life. I think what you're getting at in the Bella Santini series is showing parents as well as the children how to allow for that inside the imaginative world,
Yeah.
the spiritual world. And let me ask you that. Do you ever drop any little spiritual tips
Oh, yeah.
inside? Because it's magical, but spiritual is magic, and magic is spiritual.
Yes, it's all tied up together. Yeah. And, I am much more spiritual than I am religious. And
Amen.
yeah, just because, well, I don't even want to go there.
Why not?
Well, I find that
Most of us are, to be
yeah,
honest with you. Most of us are now.
many of the religions will keep people separate from God. And we all have God in our heart. So God is a piece of all of us.
All of us.
When we can speak to God in our heart and that spark of the divine, and when we can focus on that spark of the divine in our heart and just allow it to shine, just allow it to shine inside of you. That is when you will start melting those icy bricks, that wall that you built around your heart because you didn't feel safe, because people said things to you, people criticized you, people judged you, they pushed their perspective on you. And all of those things are not you. But that spark in your heart, that is you. And so if every day you just focus on that spark and allow it to shine inside of you, you will melt those bricks, that wall that is built around your heart that you put there to keep yourself safe. But what it does is keeps you separate from love.
And that's
And
no way to
so,
go. That's no way to go.
yeah, it's a painful path to follow.
Sure it is.
You got that right. Absolutely, absolutely. I want to ask you, Angela. Um, it seems like because your voice is so quiet and mild, and it is. It really is. But and I was curious because I was listening. I wrote down larger voice question mark. Do you feel like the volume of your voice, your message, is on a like a dimmer switch? It can you can raise the volume through your writing. You're more vocal in all of your writing than you are in actual life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do you get what I'm saying? I mean, some people when they speak, they're like Roseanne, very
Yeah,
loud, and
I'm not going to do that.
you're not. That's not you. But you
Yeah.
can be. You. It seems to me that because I've read some of your articles, and when you really want to get a point across, you really get that point across. It's like I can hear you a lot. Like, okay, well, all right then, Angela Lee. You know. So, do you think that that gives you a broader spectrum of expression? And then also talk to this point at the same time: rejection. How has writing helped you with rejection? Because I was thinking when with our work together, you told me, and well, they asked for a rewrite, and I immediately thought, how would I handle that? I've been like, well, what's wrong with the first one? You know, right? And so in writing, especially with a big publisher or a big publication, how important is it that you're able to deal with things like that? Rejection. Do you get your feelings hurt? So just take that and run with it. That's a lot.
Okay, I'm going to run with it.
Run with it.
So when you have a sense of self that is strong, you don't necessarily get triggered when people ask you to redo your work because your ego isn't tied up in the work. And so for me, if someone asks me to rewrite an article, I'm just like, okay, well, be sure you give me what you're looking for before I write it so that next time I don't have to redo my work. But that's the extent of the issue. Yeah. And being an author of books, oh my gosh, I don't know how many times there's rewrite. There's like 3 different editors who are running through my book and telling me, oh, you need to change this, you need to do that. And sometimes I fight back. I'm like, no, there's a point to this. This is why it's there.
Oh, so sometimes you win.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not realize that. So
Let me just say one thing, because
okay.
earlier you asked who my illustrator was, and I never told you.
I didn't know if you could actually put their name out, but yeah.
Yeah, Whitney Nixon. She
like
is out. I think she's in Nebraska, but oh my gosh, she is a talented artist.
Clearly.
Yeah.
You guys want to see again? Take a look. I just love this one. I just do. I mean, I just do, especially things that don't exist. You know, like the first thing that caught one of the first things that caught my eye, because I just saw Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory early the morning before I went to meet Mike TV, right? So of course I had to rent it and watch it. And one of my favorite things are those mushrooms, because that red and white mushroom, that's exactly how it was in Willy Wonka. And you could eat the marshmallow cream out of there.
That's very magical.
Oh my God, it was so good. Like, I mean, like I was there. I ate it. And I'm not kidding you. And it just, even the wings on Bella, I keep thinking it's like some kind of a lime lemon candy. And if she was here, I could say, Bella, can I lick your wing? Because it looks like it tastes like candy. So, and then again, I'm looking at, and I was curious. I was like, I wonder what that is. Along the hem of Bella's dress, there's some purple.
Mm-hmm.
And she has, so I'm like, what is that?
Purple shoes.
I know, but what is the purple? Was she somewhere where some purple something got on her?
You'll notice it around her shoulder too.
Yeah, it's like piping.
So it's like piping, it's around her wrist. It's just lace, whatever.
Oh, so Bella has a stylist. Okay, Bella.
Yes, she does.
All right. All right. So, listen, let's talk about this emotional intelligence piece.
Mm.
We've got about 10 minutes left, and I thought that'd be a great way to tie up this interview. You had mentioned you like to impart this wisdom inside of the training, parental training. What parents about a lot of it doesn't happen, but I don't think a lot of adults understand
Oh, I
emotional
can say
intelligence.
not. Yeah.
I don't think I fully understand it. I don't, because we don't
Well,
talk about it enough. So
yeah.
take
So
us inside of that.
what were you told when you were a kid? Don't cry or man up. And there were all these subliminal messages. Your emotions shouldn't be felt. You shouldn't display them. We must stay on this even line.
Yeah.
And the work of Dr. Alice Miller, who studied traumatized children, but it wasn't just a 1-year study, it was longitudinal. So what she studied was that these kids grew up and they either had disease or they had societal problems
Mm,
because they had repressed their emotions. Now, if you're in an abusive relationship, you don't have the safe space to express your rage or your anger or your upset that this is happening to you. So you just tamp down on it and push
right.
it down. But that rage is energy, and that energy is now stuck in your cells. And what I used to say is like every time you repress an emotion, it's like you pick up a rock and add it to your backpack, and you're carrying this
Mm,
heavy
heavy.
load, mountain of emotion that you have not allowed yourself to express. And sometimes that backpack splits open and all the rocks fall out. And then you're bursting out in rage at something that maybe didn't warrant that level of response. And so understanding that emotions are energy, they last, this is crazy because they last about 2 minutes biochemically in our bodies.
Really?
Yeah, if they're allowed to flow. But if we repress them, the emotion stays and it goes longer and longer. So it's the story of our circumstance that causes us to hold on to that emotion when we can disconnect our mind and just do focused attention on the feeling in which you feel, name, and then allow. Give yourself permission to feel. With that, in about 2 minutes, that feeling will be gone.
Wow. I want to drop something in and then come back to the emotional intelligence thing because I don't want to get out of here without talking about this for just a minute or two. We were introduced through David Fagan,
We were.
top talent,
Yeah.
and um, David came to my attention when someone says, "Do you know who David Fagan is?" And he does this work in Africa with kids, similar to the work you do, but different, with the power of we. And we were preparing to go to Romania, which is what you interviewed me on, our trip to Romania, the Legacy of Hope tour. And
Yeah.
so I just wanted, if you could, because oftentimes when people hear about someone from that person, it's different than when they hear about that person from other people. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be great just for you to just tell me how your work with David and his team
Mm.
has impacted your journey?
Oh, it's been incredible.
Go ahead.
And let me tell you that I think it was 2 years ago, I first met David and his wife, Isabel. And at the time, I was having trouble with my former publisher. And I said, David, would you publish my second book. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. We don't do fiction and we don't do children's books." And I knew that his whole platform is about books that will help humanity. So, what he didn't realize is that my books are part of that. And over the course of 2 years of attending his events, of talking about what my books do, of him getting a chance to look at my books, he realized that my books are really self-development in fiction form. And so
Which makes it a lot more fun for some
it
people.
does, yeah.
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 Yes, I can see that.
And so he actually took me on as a client at that point, and he published the third book. And what I can say about David is that he is very heart-centered.
Mhm.
He is hugely he wants to support the authors who are trying to make a change. And he will promise a little and give a whole lot more. And so, I see all of my books being published through him.
Through Top Talent Publishing.
Yeah.
Awesome. What do you think of his work with those kids over in Africa?
Well, I think that is just pure evidence of who he really is,
Yeah.
because, he doesn't have to go over there. He goes over there, he makes it an opportunity for his clients to get in front of audiences and speak, but he also makes it a win for Kenya, because what he does, he goes in and he'll bring donated computers. He'll bring a water tower, and they'll install the water tower on a service day, the whole group.
Yeah.
And the last time he went, they came back and said, "You know what? I think we need to train those young people to be VAs, because the economic opportunity is so poor there." Um, but giving them a computer and training them to do work
Opens up the
anywhere in
world.
the world. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And so many people. I had a client one of my coaching clients just came back from there. She has an adopted son, that she's been giving money to since he was a baby. He's 10 now. And
Nice.
she said the same thing. And so I just wanted to get that in there because, we're similar in our heart-centered work with children, and why
Yeah.
it's so important. And he's been going over there. This was the Power of We Symposium's first time going international, and I think we're kind of hooked on it. But every other one will probably do that. And I just wanted your take on it. So thank you. Thank you for that. We have about 3 minutes left, and I wanted to get these links up. Here is Angela Leigh's website, angelalegh.com. And when they go there, let's talk about these different lanes, okay, and based on what someone might be looking for.
Mhm.
What would a person find when they come here? And then we're going to go through, we got your LinkedIn, and then we have, of course, the Bella Santini Amazon link, which is self-explanatory. But all things Angela here, what are they going to find?
So they will find different options on my website. There will be the Bella books. There's going to be a parenting option that takes you to a whole nother website called theparentspromise.com.
Okay.
And that site is about conscious parenting and giving parents tools and tips and resources for being able to make those conscious choices about how they're going to parent.
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
and LinkedIn, we know is all the professional. Or do you have articles and whatnot there?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
And the articles are actually part of the resource center for parents, and they're on the Angela Leigh website.
Beautiful. And then, of course, Bella Santini, Land Everlasting Change. It is the land of everlasting change. Head over and I want the books just to flip through first and look at the beautiful illustrations, because you can already tell. It's what I love about those covers is it beckons. It says, come on in. You know you want to get in here. Come on in here.
Yeah,
And
you want
I
to play.
want to get some. There are a lot of friends in our sacred circle, our inner circle, who have just started having children. We are gunkle. My husband and I, we are gunkles. And I am going to get these books to start off these little ones as early as possible down the right road of emotional intelligence, awareness, and all the other great
and self-love.
And self-love.
That is so
hallelujah.
huge. Yeah.
Right. I just want to say thank you. This hour has absolutely flown by, but we're going to give you what I call the turnstile invitation, which means you're welcome back anytime you choose to. And tell Richard, your wonderful husband, that we send lots of love and light from our side of the country. And also, when you see our good friend David, thank him again for blessing the Power of We Symposium and all of us who went to Romania, all of the volunteers, including Team Romania, and all of those kids that we were poured into by them as we were attempting to pour into them. Just thank him and his team for blessing us in such a profound way. Listen, I want to thank you again, and I want to thank all of you. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Get out there today and do whatever you need to do to find your highest self in this day. Don't worry about tomorrow. It's not here yet. You'll be on a different playing field against a different team tomorrow. So wait until then and get up, wash, rinse, and repeat. In the meantime, I will get out and do the same thing, because I'm not going to tell you something I'm not willing to do myself. But I will promise you this. God willing, tomorrow morning, I'll meet you right over there on the front porch. So together, we can come together and have yet another illuminated conversation. Again, I just want to thank you, Angela. I look forward to a lot of great things with you. I really do. I consider you a friend. And
you are a friend.
Thank you. And I'm honored to know you. I truly am. Thank you so much. You guys get out of here. And as I tell you every day in parting, and I mean it, so that it can become meaningful, full of meaning. I love you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Take that with you. Take that with you and have a divine day. I love you guys. Thank you, Angela. Have a great one. Good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.